You are a good person and you can do good things and you can actually inspire other people to do good things too. It's so cliche, but if you just don't stop, you make it.
Who are you?
I'm Chappell Roan.
As Chappell Roan follows to the beat of her own drum, she is redefining what a pop star is supposed to be. Maybe in the past or in the present, you categorize a pop star as safe and formulaic, and if an artist doesn't fit this criteria, then they are ostracized by the fans and the media and heavily criticized. Perhaps that was the case 5, 10, 20 years ago, but I believe we are entering a new era where new stars will emerge and lead to the beat of their own drum. But how does an artist in this climate survive when they yearn for a sense of belonging, but is meant to shine and stand out? Artists who dare to be different, and artists who understand that they cannot and do not have to be morally perfect.
Do you ever feel pressure as an artist to be like morally perfect in your music?
No, I don't think any artist should.
Roan grew up in a Christian area city of Willard, Missouri, and she began writing songs after winning an 8th grade talent show. Roan started off by taking piano lessons, and then she found a vocal style that she loved, and then began posting covers onto YouTube. And when it was time to decide a name for her artistry, she looked to her grandfather's influence and chose the stage name after her grandfather Dennis Chappell and his favorite song, The Strawberry Roan by Marty Robbins. This is when Kaylee Rose Amstutz begins her journey as Chappell Roan. Roan was discovered on YouTube when she was 17, and then she signed to Atlantic Records. Shortly after, she released her debut EP, School Nights, in 2017. Signing to a major label can be a dream come true if the label uses their resources to amplify the artist's vision. Everything comes with a price, and sometimes it's at the expense of an artist's creative freedom. What happened to Roan happens quite frequently in this business. Roan picked Atlantic Records to sign with because that's who she felt most comfortable with at the time. But priorities change with labels all the time, and they don't necessarily have the bandwidth to stick by an artist and develop them while they figure out this cold business, if they aren't generating profit.
And I was signed to them for 5 years and a horrible record deal. But I didn't know any better because, I was a little kid. I was literally a minor.
After this ushered in her era when Roan started her working relationship with Dan Nigro. Roan was then dropped by Atlantic Records as they cited lack of profits in her music.
What ended the relationship, if you're able to say?
Well, my relationship ended with my label like a lot of artists ended their relationships in 2020. You just get dropped if you're not making money in 2020. Like, music industry crashed. It was, touring is how artists make their money, and it was 2020, I wasn't touring.
Roan would soon after return home to the Midwest, where she would work at a donut shop during the pandemic. Roan recalls his time as being very lonely for her.
I moved here when I was 19, and I drove like my car across the country from Missouri and just like packed all my stuff in and moved in with a bunch of kids from summer camp. It was insanely hard to be in LA and like adapt. It was very hard for me because all of a sudden I did not have values. I had no idea what I valued, and I did not have that many friends. It's so hard to make friends in Los Angeles, and it was very tough and pretty depressing for a bit.
Was there a part of you after that goes, I don't know if I'm going to make music anymore?
Yeah, I ran out of money and moved back home with my parents and was working the drive-thru.
Sometimes our setbacks and inconveniences in life can be a blessing in disguise. Roan released the album that would change her life forever, The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess, in September of 2023. Artist development and word of mouth were the keys to Roan's gradual success. Through performances on late-night television such as The Colbert Show and Tiny Desk, her vibrant and captivating performances paired with strong songwriting led to the explosion of her album and the single Good Luck Babe. As far as her identity is concerned, she has drawn comparisons to Lady Gaga and Fiona Apple. Roan struggled between the large personality in her music and how it grew to a size that her identity outside of music hadn't quite caught up to yet.
And because the way I was brought up, I wasn't exposed to, honestly, hardly any gay culture. No one that I was like really close with was like out. So it was all very like reserved and like serious. So yeah, I just kind of honored my inner child, and that's when my career started taking off.
I believe Roan's career started to take off the more she started being true to herself. And there's not really a handbook that can prepare artists for superstardom or a career in the music industry. But something I learned about artists that last in this industry is that they have a strong sense of self. And even when the circus known as the music industry and the noise complicates things for artists, artists like Chappell Roan stay present and grounded when they figure out that their true identity doesn't have to be lost in this noise. A Twitter user described Roan's aesthetic as is deliberately trashy, and I mean that as a compliment. Another Twitter user said, Chappell Roan is exactly the kind of artist to fill the Lady Gaga-esque space and pop music for this generation.
I just started doing themes because I love dressing up. I want any excuse to dress up. And I love dressing up for concerts.
An additional Twitter user said, Chappell Roan is what happens when a talented, confident, outspoken woman gets extremely famous before the industry has a chance to beat her into submission and silence her suffering. Chappell Roan is actually doing such a phenomenal job of encouraging women to stand their ground and have these men take responsibility for their actions. I understand how difficult it may be for artists like Roan to live boldly in their truth, and how that may attract attention from those that don't necessarily understand her. But the people that do understand her will latch onto her energy and embrace her light, and those that are offended by it will try to dim her light.
Period. Ready? I'm gonna skip to the chorus, it's so boring.
Roan says, my whole persona is just me trying to honor that version of myself that I was never allowed to be. Roan turned down an offer to perform at the White House for Pride, saying, in response to the White House who asked me to perform for Pride, we want liberty, justice, and freedom for all. When you do that, that's when I'll come.
In response to the White House who asked me to perform for Pride, we want liberty, justice, and freedom for all. When you do that, that's when I'll come.
She found her queerness and her identity through the imagery of the album. With the music videos, the photos, the outfits, and the makeup, I really connected with drag. It kind of came with the creative world. The music, yes, but the world building is what helped me realize my queer identity. I'm sure coming from the Midwest region, the struggle that comes with embracing your identity. For Chappell Roan, the integral piece of her identity is her queer identity. Being able to stand on that identity and have people still accept her. There's going to be people that don't accept her as well. But to have a community and a tribe of people that accept her and feel seen by her and what she stands for, I believe it's a win for everyone involved. It's a win for Chappell Roan. She's able to make the art and the music that she wants to make and live authentically in her truest self. And it's also a win for artists coming up looking to figure out where they fit. They may feel like before Chappell Roan, their art and their truest identity would not be accepted, but now that they have a blueprint, they think that this is possible, and it will probably encourage and incentivize artists to attempt to make the same impact. Roan has been very transparent and vulnerable about her struggles with mental health as she was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Roan says, I think at the time what I was struggling with most was my bipolarity. I wasn't diagnosed yet. When you're a teenager, things are already so horrible and confusing, and all these new emotions that you haven't gotten past before, you don't know if they will last forever. I feel like I would just tell my past version that she is a good person and that she is enough.
I feel very prepared. I've been doing this for a decade.
Yeah.
I've been through like a major label deal already and dropped, and then another major label deal. So I think if this were to happen when I was hoping it would happen when I was like 17, I wouldn't be able to enjoy it.
Although I know it's not easy for artists to embrace their truth and embracing true vulnerability and transparency, especially when speaking about depression and how that invites so much attention, especially when you're a superstar and you're placed under a microscope. I appreciate that. I appreciate that because them speaking about their truth helps music listeners like me who connect with that feel less alone. It makes me think if they can do it on this scale with all this attention and all this pressure, then I can do it too. She's also been very vocal about her political stances, and she's even drawn criticism for it, but she's standing on her beliefs and her morals. Roan says, it's just my duty to help send resources to a community that is absolutely being destroyed. Roan has also struggled with the price of fame and success, saying, I think it's because my whole life has changed. Everything that I really love to do now comes with baggage. Roan adds, how do I do this in a safe way where I'm not going to be stalked or harassed? She also adds, I'm very turned off by the celebrity of it all, adding, some girls have been in this so long that they're used to that, but I'm not that girl. Roan doesn't seem to care about the attention that she's getting, although she's grateful and thankful for it. She adds, I've never given a F about the charts or being on the radio, but it's so crazy how industry people are taking me more seriously than before. Roan adds, my career has worked because I've done it my way. At the end of the day, it's just a job, and I don't plan on doing this forever. I have an identity outside of this that I want to protect myself for when it's 20 years from now and I'm not just burnt out on life.
It's pop music. Like, it is at the end of the day, just a job. And I don't plan on doing this forever, so I need to just have an identity outside of this and protect myself for when I'm, 20 years from now and I'm not just like burnt out on life.
Perhaps this may signal to fans or industry people that Roan doesn't see herself putting her all into this, or she may not be as excited to be here and treats this like it's an Amazon factory 9-to-5 job, but I don't hear that. This just comes across as someone who refuses to be taken advantage of.
Would you harass her in public? Would you go up to a random lady and say, can I get a photo with you? Would you be offended if she says no to your time because she has her own time? Would you stalk her family? Would you follow her around? I'm a random bitch. You're a random bitch. Just think about that for a second. I don't care that this crazy type of behavior comes along with the job, the career field I've chosen. That does not make it okay. That doesn't make it normal. It doesn't mean I want it. It doesn't mean that I like it. I don't give a if you think it's selfish of me to say no for a photo or for your time or for a hug. It's weird how people think that you know a person just because you see them online or you listen to the art they make.
I feel like fame is just abusive. The vibe of this, the stalking, talking online, people who won't leave you alone, yelling at you in public, it's the vibe of an abusive ex-husband. That's what it feels like. However, she continued to persevere and she continued to climb and to grow. She may be presented with a bunch of things she doesn't love about being a musician, but the blessings also come in abundance as well. Summer of 2024, Roan earned the opportunity to be the opening slot on Olivia Rodrigo's Guts tour. She's received acknowledgement as one of Beyonce's favorite new artists. Good Luck Babe has been ranked the #1 song of 2024 by NME. Rolling Stone ranks Good Luck Babe as the #1 song of the year. Good Luck Babe is in top 6 in Spotify's US most streamed songs in 2024. Roan is also a 2025 Song of the Year Grammy nominee and one of Forbes' selection of 30 Under 30 of 2025, titled The Artist Shaping the Future of Music. As far as the criticism, well, that comes with the fame. Fans have accused Roan of being ungrateful. They have also criticized her feelings about the past election and her disposition regarding both candidates. Some fans felt like she came across apathetic. And of course, as you know, when a photographer yelled at Roan, Roan responded with the same energy. You shut the fuck up. Roan says,
overwhelming and quite scary. I think for someone who gets a lot of anxiety around people yelling at you, the carpet is horrifying. Yeah. And I yelled back. I yelled back. You don't get to yell at me like that.
Which is valid. This doesn't give people the right to violate her boundaries. They think I'm complaining about my success. I'm complaining about being abused. One Twitter user added, your boundaries are too tough. Your views are too nuanced. Roan said in a post on her Instagram profile, for the past 10 years, I've been going non-stop to build my project. And it's come to the point that I need to draw lines and set boundaries. I want to be an artist for a very long time. I've been in too many non-consensual physical and social interactions, and I just need to lay it out and remind you, women don't owe you shh. I chose this career path because I love music and art and honoring my inner child. I do not accept harassment of any kind because I chose this path. During Governor's Ball, where Roan spoke up for trans rights, Roan added, it was hard to be like, I'm going to say something that a lot of my family is going to be like, wow, you crossed the line. The fact that Roan is taking a stance with her platform is what separates her from the average pop star. And it's what many fans have gravitated to her for. And I believe the success of her career thus far has allowed her the room to breathe and step into her true identity. And when people didn't believe in her or her sound, Roan had to dig as deep as she possibly could to believe in herself, and whatever happened from that happened.
I love where it came from because I have an incredible perspective on the Midwest, which I think a lot of people on the coasts kind of, put all Midwesterners in one type of category. But there are drag queens, there are people who are trans, there are massive queer communities that are just kind of hidden away in these teeny tiny towns, and I feel like that's who my real community is, and I feel like that's what the community feels like at the shows. All the people who maybe aren't allowed to be out and proud all the time.
Frequent collaborator and producer of Pink Pony Club, Dan Nigro, partnered Roan with Island Records and signed Roan to his label, Amusement Records, after Roan's debut album, The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess. Roan says about the project, "I feel like I'm just being my 10-year-old self." Roan added, "I feel that the project has really allowed me to explore parts of myself. This project made me feel very free. My life has been changed forever. This has been amazing and hard and beautiful, eye-opening and empowering and transformative in every emotion ever. Thank you for everything." Roan says about this project, "You have to let go what straight people are going to say about it."
But what kind of album did you want to make here?
I just wanted to make something that I could party to and other people could party to,
Yeah.
and something that I would never be sad or bored performing.
It's very important for artists to believe in the music they're going to put out and feel good about it, because it's going to be them who are going to be on the road and performing for fans. And if the music takes off and they're not proud of it and they're not going to stand by it, then it's just going to be a miserable experience. So for Roan, I understand why it was necessary for her to make music that felt good, because in the past she was making music that she didn't feel good about emotionally. Roan added, "Once I moved out to LA when I was 18, I just realized that everything good happens after midnight."
Yeehaw to go. Let's try it.
Roan speaks about the inspiration of Hot to Go, saying, "The idea was sparked whenever I went to the gay club for the first time, and I was so serious when everyone else was having so much fun."
I don't want the world, but I'll take this city. Who can blame a girl? Call me hot, not pretty.
Growing up, I wasn't exposed to any gay culture. Before I went to LA and West Hollywood, I wasn't aware of how exaggerated life could be. I think what made me feel like I could make silly art was once I got to therapy with inner child work and kind of working on what did little me want, like the little girl that wanted to play dress up all the time, wear makeup, and dance and just be obnoxious. And when I allowed myself to do just that, I think that's when my art got better. Also on the same album, My Kink is Karma, Roan worked with Justin Tranter. Roan added about this song, "At first I walked out of the session like this is the dumbest song ever. I hated it and thought it was tasteless. I think that about every song I write, and then I grow to love it. It was cathartic and a release from all the things I despise about my ex."
It was so fun to make up little things and just kind of list them, and it's so cathartic actually performing it, because it is like a release of all of these things that I really despised about my ex.
In another song, Kaleidoscope, I was really in love with my best friend and I told her. She was like, "Give me a second to process this and let's talk about it, because I'm in love with you and I want to be with you." I didn't know what to do with my emotions, so I wrote Kaleidoscope. The song prepared me for what I thought was going to happen, which was, I don't think we should do this and we should stay friends. It's just about love.
Such a stunning ballad. You wrote this completely by yourself. How did it come about?
Oh my god, it's the only song I wrote last year, by myself. I wrote one song and it was that. And I was just I don't know, I just was so in love. The song was just me trying to prepare for what I think I knew she was gonna say, which was, "I don't think we should do this, I think we should stay friends." So it's just really about staying friends, even though you love changes, and that can be falling in love, that can be just friendship, that can be even taking space is love.
And I highlighted this song because I personally relate to the theme and the messaging. I've been through situations where I had a best friend that I liked as a best friend and I loved her and I wanted to be with her. And, in order to preserve the friendship, or in order to, even sometimes I was just being scared and being a coward, that I didn't want to ruin the friendship, but I also could not be in this position to where I loved her more than just a friend. And I related to this, so I know there's other songs in her catalog that fans, diehard fans of Chappell, relate to, just like I relate to this song.
You remember this scene? Where were you, and what was it? What was going on with your life here?
I had no money, and I was working at a donut shop, and I was performing at this weird gay festival, Love, and
Yeah, you're working at a donut
I
shop.
think that was the first time I performed Pink Pony Club in front, like, in the world.
Roan talks about Pink Pony Club as one of the first songs that we did for the album, and it was released back in 2020. The interviewer asked, did it feel like you found your sound this way at the time? And people at the label didn't want to put it out. They didn't get it. So that was really confusing at the time. And we released it at the worst time. But also the fact that it had such an impact means something.
Pink Pony came out in April of 2020, the worst time for a club song to come out. To be honest, the label didn't even want to put it out. So it was already a very tense relationship.
Roan also talks about her song California on the album, saying, I wasn't even dropped at the time. I just felt so sad in LA. I really thought I'd come to LA and all my dreams would come true. And I would feel so like myself. And at times it was that, but for many years it was so depressive and so heartbreaking. And I felt so defeated. I feel like I let myself down. Roan also added, I think getting dropped was the best thing to happen to my career. It lit a fire under my ass that I was like, I have to try to make this work. I gave myself a year to get my shit together. And if I didn't feel like this is what I was meant to do, at the end of that year, then I would just move back home and go to college or something and just be like, I tried music. This whole video on Chappell thus far has highlighted her perseverance and continuing to push when times are hard and when the label or the audience or whoever didn't accept her, but she knew in her heart of heart that what she was giving to the world was pure and it was gold. And even if she didn't, like I think she did, music was her love. And I also love that despite this being her love and it's something that she wanted to do and hoped that she would end up doing, she was very realistic with herself. She had a balance of dreaming big, but also being realistic. She was in that sweet space where you're not too delusional, but you're not too realistic to where you're eliminating all possibilities that you can make your dream come true.